Derby maybe as much as any, given the size of the field and the distance and everything, where you just do need some racing luck that day and some good decisions?
You need racing luck, really good decisions, and on top of that, you need the right horse on the right day. And fortunately, last year, that's what it kind of all involved into, was just Mystik Dan he was well prepared, and he was going into the Derby last year perfectly, and magically it all just worked out like we envisioned, and we were fortunate enough to hold on at the wire.
How'd this morning go?
This morning went well. It kind of surprised me. That's the first time I'd ever worked him. I rode him last time in the Bluegrass, and he was a little aggressive getting to the pole, which it kind of surprised me. Ian warned me before we went out that he does get a little aggressive, but it surprised me because in his race there in the Bluegrass and all his other races I've watched, he just kind of goes out there and floats along and travels well. But he hit the pole today and got in a nice rhythm, and he was off in 13, and then he picked it up, and then at the 8th pole I leaned forward on him just a bit, and he shot off, and then he galloped out a good 8th. And he looks like the type of horse where he's coming into this race in good form, and right now with these 3-year-olds, that's kind of what you want this time of the year. You want a horse that's kind of on the upswing, and he seems to be that way.
What did you learn about him in the Bluegrass? I mean, there was a hot pace there, but he came flying for you in the end.
Yeah, it was a hot pace, but what I really liked about him in the Bluegrass was for a 3-year-old that he's fairly lightly raced, he made a really, really long, sustained run. For most 3-year-olds can't make that long of a run, and he was able to make a good 4.5 furlong run at those horses. And the horse he ran down, he's a Grade 1 winner, and he was able to run down East Avenue, and he just showed his grittiness and determination. So, he's like I said, he's the type of horse where he's on the upswing, and he's exciting.
Does this feel any different for you leading up to this week? I mean, when you're in the sport, everybody always asks you, have you won the Kentucky Derby? Well, now I won it.
Yeah, we're fortunate. Last year we were able to win the Oaks and Derby, and this year it's just like any other year. You work all year long to try to find these good 3-year-olds, and fortunately again this year we were able to find another good one here with Ian and the Whittams, and it's just the excitement of it all. This is what our sport all evolves around is the Kentucky Derby. So to be able to go into yet another Kentucky Derby with a good legitimate chance, we're looking forward to it.
What about the Oaks?
Oaks, we like our filly. She worked really well yesterday, and she's another one. She won the stake at Oaklawn, and then she kind of threw in a clunker. But then her last race in the Ashland, with a little better racing luck, we might have been able to win it. We just kind of got hung up around the second turn a little longer than I'd like to have. But she, once things cleared up, she made a strong run at Lacora. So we think with the extra half a furlong, it'll help her. She seems like a filly that she'll relish a mile and an eighth, and we just have to get her in there in good order for the Friday.
Will you have to be closer to the pace in the Derby?
That's the good thing about Ian and these guys. We just have to trust our horse. In a race like the Derby, and that's kind of one thing as a jockey you learned over the years is you can't really force issues with things like that. You have to go out there and trust your horse and just read the race and kind of have a game plan going into it, and just have him travel on you, and when he decides to make his run, just stay out of his way and give him a good clean trip. Now, and it was Espinoza, what was it, 14 and 15, he won 5 of the 6 Triple Crown races in those 2 years?
Yeah, pretty good run.
Yeah, that's a huge run. That's hard to that'd be hard to repeat.
Yeah.
Brian, Ian talks about the development of a horse, and then it's a progression. Anything you saw in this work, little tells or anything that show you he is advancing since the Bluegrass?
Yeah, he's just showing that he was a little sharp this morning, which kind of surprises, but like Ian said, he came out of the Bluegrass really, really good, and he's just he seems like he's proud of himself, to show what he did a couple of Tuesdays ago, that he just seems like the horse that he's on the upswing.
How did it change your life? I mean, you never know what'll happen, but how did it change your life to win even the Oaks Derby double?
It just made it to where we've kind of been given more opportunities and just riding better horses, and even like being able to pick up this horse this year. When the Whittams and Ian called and asked if we'd ride him in the Bluegrass, we jumped at the opportunity, of course. And it's just when you start winning the better races like the Oaks and Derbies and Grade 1s and stuff like that, it just kind of opens the door up to better horses, and that's what you need at the end of the day. The best jockey in the world can't make a horse any faster than they are. You just need that horse under you, and fortunate enough that over the last year, I've been fortunate enough to pick up some better horses.
That's it.
Thank